All right, hey guys, Sam back with you here. Oh, we're Friday midday, and the second spread request here from the members was for Litecoin to the dollar. I've got it here on GDAX. Now, we've looked at this coin before, so this is a bit of a review here. Just to be clear, if anyone hadn't seen this before, I've just wicked off the absolute low here. What we got? $3.23. And making the proposal that what we have here is a 1-2. The big rally up here is our 3. Is our 3-4-5 to complete a 1. And now we're struggling to get a handle on whether or not we have a good hard low here for a 2, implying we've got much higher prices to go. So, can we make a case for that? Granted, this is very deep. So if I just to go through the exercise, it's always a good idea to take the absolute low here. So if I can get that right on it. So if I work from that low, now take note, I am in log scale, so that distorts it a little bit. It's to your eye, right? It's because it compresses the prices up here. So working from that absolute low up to the proposed 1 high, we know a 2 can come as deep as the 786. It's not uncommon. Here's the wave 1 high, interestingly, not relevant to that count other than prior resistance, offering some support. You can see that. So you can make a case here that we've got a 1-2 and that the targets remain valid up here for a 3, 4, and 5. We know that the negative 100 going to be very close to the 1618, which is our highest probability zone for the wave 3. So we can just use that as we can eyeball that. We don't need to draw it out. We know that's going to be very close to that level. So looking here now, so do we have a good low? Do we have a low that we can work with? So let's go down off of the 8 hour. So let's go down, I'll take it to the 1 hour, because really what matters now is, can we make a case here for this low relative to the correction? So you can see here that I've got a pitchfork on it here. So so let me take this off now that we have this identified here as potential support here. So I'm going to take this off and see what we get here. Now there's some complexity to this. So what I have here is a WXY, right? So it sounds complicated. WXY is just connecting two ABCs with an X wave. So here's our first reaction, AB, hard move down here for the C wave. But we don't finish there and we don't go impulsive. So we get an X wave and then we get yet again an A, a B, and I'm making the case that we've now put in down here the C to complete this rather substantial correction that we've gone through, to give us the second ABC, completing the Y of the WXY and giving us the second wave. All right, so that's the case that I propose to you. It certainly plays from an Elliott perspective. There's nothing that invalidates. Now we do have some, so we have some substantial movement here in this correction. So I'm going to change that just so you don't get confused by it. So let me take that and put that in at 1 degree higher. Okay, so that's the case I propose, is that we have a 1-2, big spike down for the 3, here's the 4, and then we're getting subdivision into the 5th. Well, we can see the median line has, this modified pitchfork here. So I have the shift pitchfork here. So it goes to, pardon me, I think I have the modified. Yeah, I have the modified shift because we go down and over. Well, I take that back. Yeah, here it is. So we don't go over. So we have. Yeah, it's Friday. So here's the 50% down. So understand that in a shift pitchfork, all you're doing is going down 50%, the length of the first swing. So here it is, 50% down, and now we come over. So this seems to give it the best structure here with regards to the market geometry. So we can look at it on the modified shift, but you'll see the difference. So if I come here, so from the shift to the modified shift, just so you see what that looks like. I mean, you've got the 0.5s here giving some support. It's hard. It's a hard call. Nothing's perfect. This is interesting here that we wick it here, but we're to and through. We seem to be staying within the 50s. Right, that's the 100%, the parallels, and those are the 50s, and the dashed green. So if I go back to shift, I just like this fit a little bit better because I think I'm catching with the lower parallel. I'm getting, I just like the structure of that better. I like the tap here up to the 50. We roll over back to it. It's tough when it's not spot on. It's kind of a judgment call. So I'm working with this. The other thing about a modified shift, it'll give you almost identical structure to a channel. So if I can get this on here. So that's the channel. So I've got the shift. Now if I were to switch this, you see it. This is why you don't need to use the channel if you don't want to. But if I so hang on a second. So if I go here, let me get this hot again. So if I switch off of that, if I can do it. There we go. So now I go, so note where the channel is. So now if I go to the modified shift, all right, you see how it's right on it. Right. So yeah, I like the pitchfork because I like the reference of the median line. So I will, but you know, you have the same thing with, so if I take this off, you could make this case that I've just got a big channel on. So if I take the pitchfork off, well, then I've got the center line. Right, you see it? So either one, you know, we're kind of in between. So we don't, this, you know, we get the upper channel here, but now we're just sort of struggling through here. So we don't have big advantage with regards to the geometry. So can we build a case with regards to the wave relationships and the fib pulls? So we take that off. So we'll just go down to it, since that's really not giving us the precision that we want to look for. So what kind of case can I make here? Well, if this is my A, B, and I'm going down for my C, I'm looking for the subdivision into my C wave. So the first thing I would start doing is just measuring here. So there's my 1. So what do I get for my 2? Well, that's technical. I go right between the 50 and the 618. I go all the way to the negative 100. Now, as I've just shown you many times, and I'll show you again, it's a great eyeball reference, so you don't have to do this twice. So here's the length of the 1 projected from the 2. So if I go over here now and we just identify this, so you can see here it's always going to be very close. Now when it gets right on the 618, it's almost on top of it here. But since we don't quite get to the 618 here, we get a little window. And where do we go? You know, right? So it goes right to it. So high probability zone for a 3. So it makes you look at that and go, okay, good odds that given this fib relationship that I've got my 3rd there. Right? I mean, it's just deductive reasoning. Okay, can we make that case? All right, so if we pull that off, well, if that's my 3rd, then I'm going to look for a relationship between the 2nd here, down to my low, to my 4th. Okay, now granted, it's deep for a 4th, but what do we get here? We get it's a front run on the 618. We don't overlap the 1. So I stay in an impulsive structure here. Here's my 4, there's my 1, it's technical, prior support. You know, if Vegas wave is right there to contain it on the way down. So the assumption being 1, 2, 3, deep 4, but it's technical. There's my 4. Now look where we go. Here's the first algo target. Right. So from the length of my 3rd wave projected from my 4th, that's the algo target. Well, you know, to make the point, they're not trading Elliott wave. They're just trading the fib swings. Right. So they don't care about what's happening there. They're just looking for that's their first target, and they get it. And then look at the reaction. Interestingly, comes back down, tests it again. Look at that reaction. So, you know, so you start building that case. Could potentially here, do we get a 3? So I look at this and go, okay, so the first thought was, well, maybe we were done here. But this rolling over and coming again, you know, now I would be looking for subdivision here within this. And I propose that what I think we have here is a truncated 5th. That even though we get this little spike here and the 5th does not go as deep as the 3rd here, that because we're staying at that technical level, and look over to the left here, prior cluster here, indecision, that was resistance, now it becomes the support. So we test it twice. Just you know, as I'll often tell you, these lows, markets like to test the lows to make sure they're solid. So that's the test. It holds, and look at the reaction. You know, so now we'd have to dig into that. We'd have to dig into that. Let me take this off. So we'd want to dig into this. You know, do we have any confluence there that would help us? Well, I would just take the length of my 1. Well, pardon me. Get that hot here. So I would look for the length of my 3rd relative to my 4th. Well, it's deep. Okay, it's deep. So, you know, it would make me go, that kind of surprises me. But one of the things you just got to do in this kind of trading is you got to check back a pivot. You got to check it. Because you're just trying to figure out what the algos are doing. Right? So for whatever reason, they're still holding off of that pivot. So down we go, up, goes right to the golden zone. and then we go back down again. Now, we don't get the target on this one, right? So just because the target's there doesn't mean they always get it. But we can carve out a 3, 4, 5 coming down here. And if I open this up, we get a good 5-wave subdivision into this fifth. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 down for the 5, which is why I think we end up with this truncated fifth. We don't get as low, but we get a good technical pivot here, and we have nice subdivision. So if I take that off now on the assumption that I've got a tested low. I've got a tested low. So I'm moving off of this now. And it's not unlike Bitcoin, what we're seeing here, where it's not a crystal clear, pretty, impulsive structure, but you could really make a case that you've got, at this point, you could make a case that you're dealing, same thing with Bitcoin, is that you have a 1 and a shallow 2. Remains to be seen, but it's shallow. It would be nice if everything was just easy, but we're not getting easy here. 2, it's a shallow 2, right? There's no way around it. I'd like to see it deeper, but we know 10% of the wave 2s will go only to the 38. Right? It's lower statistically, but it does happen. So could we have a 1, 2 there? Well, it's a valid case. So how do we confirm? Well, we certainly want to see a good impulse in the third. We know that third could go up. We'd be targeting that negative 100, as I've shown you many times. That'll be very close. So why does that matter? Because we know that statistically the highest probability zone for a third is the 1618, 175 box. So we're going to be close to it there. So I can just use that as an eyeball. If this holds now, as a 1, 2, and then this doesn't look great in here. I don't love this. We may end up putting the 2 over here. We got to see, we've got to see some good acceleration through this double top here. Right now, all we've got is a perfect double top. So we got to get through that with some energy and some volume and all the things that you would look for, so that we get better confidence in this low. Because right now it's kind of iffy. Can I get a big move over the weekend to push me up here to in the 200, 210, 215 zone? That would certainly make me feel a lot better about that distance from this low. But this low is still, questionable. We have the potential for this to come down here yet again. So we might have an A, B, C. We'll see. This could just be setting up to take us down for a 2 here to give us a better run up at that. Both of those scenarios are there, but again, it looks very much like Bitcoin, where it's shallow retracements. Again, what conclusion do you draw from that? Well, you're suspect. That's the first thought, is, well, I'm a little suspicious of it because it's not as deep as I like. Just like this low had to get tested, I would feel better about this low getting tested. And right now, it remains questionable. So we wait and see. Again, as I will often say, no trade is a valid position in the market. Don't feel like you need to trade something here. If you're in it and if you're in it and you're long, and you're looking for signs that everything's going to be okay, the market's coming back. Well, I can't give that to you yet, but we have some evidence, we have some clues. It's certainly, you can start building a case that we've got a good low down here. Certainly this low. All right, so we've tested it. Now we're moving off of it. Can we get some traction? That would make me feel a lot better about it. So if you want to be more conservative, what's the trade? What's the play here? Well, I'd wait for that third. So if we're going to work from either this, this does not look impulsive. So it's, maybe we're getting an A, B, some sort of little, we don't want a triangle in the second, but we can get an A, B, A, B, C into that. It's not the prettiest correction. Again, it looks more like a fourth than a second. Maybe this needs to be recounted. It's tricky in here. It's not making it easy for us. So what's the safer play? That's where I was going. If we can get a third up here, then we trade the fourth. That's the safer play, right? Then you're trading for the fifth. Right? So that's not a get rich ball. That's swinging for a nice single. If I get that though, now I can pull out on this and say, okay, if I get that as my one wave, well, I know, of course, that's got to retrace, so I'm going to be looking for the 50 down here. You want to be ultra conservative? Let this confirm that you've got an impulsive wave here, or at least a 5-wave structure. It doesn't have to be impulsive. It could be a diagonal. But let's get a 5-wave structure, and then we trade the 50 to the 618 on the next retracement, looking for the big third off of this 2. If that's the 2, the third is a whole lot higher, right? So why force anything? This is questionable. So, either next market or wait and let this shape a little bit better, get more confidence in the 5-wave structure, trade the 2. That's what I'd suggest. Okay, guys, that's probably it for today. I'll wrap it right there.